This photo was taken in March 2013. I had no idea that these boxes would change everything for me. It was my first real taste of business, quite literally, because the business I'm talking about, reselling McDonald's burgers in my college. Yeah, I was basically the Uber Eats middleman before Uber Eats or Swiggy even existed. But before I get into that story, if you're new here, hi, I'm Akash Damodaran, an entrepreneur who now runs a content strategy and media business and a coffee business. And on this channel, I help ambitious professionals build something of their own and become entrepreneurs, even if they have a demanding 9 to 5. And this story, this stupid little weird burger story, is the reason why I even became an entrepreneur in the first place. So let's rewind. Back in 2013, I was pursuing computer science engineering, laser focused on getting a great corporate job and then eventually doing my MBA. Because that was honestly the dream, a stable job, great pay, life sorted. But through all of this, every single day at lunch, there was chaos. The same old menu items at the college cafeterias, which students had no choice but to settle for. You either starved or you ate something that tasted so bad that you'd lose all willpower to go back to class. And it's not like we all were super excited to go back to class or anything. Like, college didn't actually help me much, to be honest. But this whole situation during lunch break was just the icing on the shit cake. And so naturally, everyone would rush out of campus and go look for better food options outside. And a lot of them would go to the nearest McDonald's, which was a little more than a kilometer away, just to get something decent to eat. And here's the funny thing, right? Like, eating McDonald's back then, it was almost like a badge of honor. Like, if you sat around the quadrangle or cafeteria holding that sandwich box or just munching on those fries, people looked at you differently. And maybe I am exaggerating a little bit, but that's how I remember it in my head, because we were all desperate, broke students back then. Anyway, it really wasn't about the food. It was about, just flexing your taste buds and status at the same time, I guess. And for months, I watched this pattern play out over and over again. Like, hundreds of students doing the exact same thing, including me. Until one day, I was starving and I had no time, and that's when I thought, man, what if McDonald's was actually inside our college? So I started asking around and basically talking to students around me, asking them that, hey, if someone brought McDonald's burgers to campus, would you buy them? And a lot of people said the same thing. Of course, bro, it's McDonald's. To be honest, that was all I needed to get excited and pumped. I didn't have any business plan, no pitch deck, no fancy model, nothing. Just a hungry college kid, quite literally, with a half-baked idea and about $450 in his wallet. And when I say bucks, I mean Indian rupees. So I made up my mind. I went straight to the McDonald's to speak to the manager. I got there and almost chickened out and ordered something instead. And now that I'd bought something, I had some courage and the reason to engage with the person behind the counter. And so I asked the person for the manager. And I told the manager, see, I'll buy burgers in bulk if you can give me some kind of a discount. And he just looked at me strange and then smirked. He was like, dude, this isn't wholesale, it's McDonald's. And he gave me a menu and said that they do event catering and whatnot. Of course, that didn't help. And so I left that day with absolutely nothing. But then I went back again the next day to try my luck. Actually, nothing happened. And I did that again and again and again. And by day 4 or 5, he was like, fine, if you buy more than, I think, 15 burgers, I'll give them to you at 26 rupees instead of 30. I remember that very clearly, 26 instead of 30. Again, that was all I needed. That was my first ever negotiation that I did all by myself. I was like 21 at the time. And so the next day, all pumped, I skipped my last class before lunch, went to McDonald's and picked up 16 burgers because that's all the cash I had, and stuffed those burgers into these random cardboard boxes. And then I marched proudly into the cafeteria like I was running some sort of a startup. Of course, there was no logo, no packaging, nothing. I remember I stood in the middle of the cafeteria, awkwardly holding these boxes, and started looking for familiar people around me. I decided that I was going to sell the burgers at, I think, 33 rupees, which meant I was making a handsome profit of about 7 rupees per burger, around a 21% profit margin, right? Like 20 to 21%, yeah, and that's not too bad. And with that being the goal, I had my friend look after the boxes, and I went around letting students know that I was selling McDonald's burgers in the college cafeteria for like 33 bucks. Of course, a lot of people ignored me. A bunch of them thought I'd lost it. Some of my own friends or acquaintances like looked at me funny. But then eventually a few people came up and actually bought. And within like I think 45 minutes to an hour, I was sold out. I made a whopping 112 rupees in profit, about $1.30. Of course, not life-changing money. It was peanuts to be honest, but it was life-changing proof and a massive deal for someone who had never really sold anything of their own. And I remember that feeling vividly because that same feeling like still sticks with me today, because for the first time, I wasn't waiting for anyone to give me permission to make money. I just gone out and created it. I had this idea, I put an action plan and just went for it. That one moment rewired how I saw the entire world. And not to mention, I was a kid in college, and so of course it went straight to my head. Anyway, next week I tried it again. Only this time I raised the price to 35 rupees because, inflation, entrepreneurial confidence, and because I wanted to obviously make more money. And I remember quite a few people asking me why I was marking up the price of the burgers. And I explained it that was just the cost of convenience, and that's how I made money in this whole process, and justified the effort to do so. A lot of people didn't buy that, and they didn't buy because of that. And for them, they would rather, walk the distance and spend 5 rupees lesser and just buy from McDonald's directly. But there were still people who were willing to pay the difference and get food at that very moment. Again, remember that these are just students we're talking about, not people who have a lot of money to spend or splurge. And that's when I learned an important lesson. People will always pay for convenience or the pain point. But it wasn't all rainbows and butterflies, because the word spread. There were some friends who supported me and were excited about what I'd done. Like my wife was one of them. Some got jealous. I think someone even complained to the faculty, because I remember one of my professors casually asking me, "So you seem to be running a food business right now," something along those lines. And then there were rumors floating around that I could get expelled from college. That scared me to bits, and so I shut it down and I didn't pursue it further. It lasted just 2 runs, but honestly, that was all the proof and experience I needed to know that I could do something and make money out of something so mundane and simple. Now, if you thought that's where the story ends, you're wrong, because there's a whole lot more to the story. Fast forward to 2019. I was in consulting at Deloitte, burnt out, tired of client decks, and I just wanted to do something of my own. I think I've mentioned this time and again on a few of my previous videos as well. And so I eventually took a sabbatical, a break from work for a few months to figure out what to build. And one night while scrolling through notes on my phone, I came across this page where I had kept a track of just different business ideas. I think it was called Business Ideas or something along those lines. Right there, halfway down the list, it said food business or burger business or something, and I think it even had something that said like college idea. And that's when it hit me. That same pattern I'd seen in college, it was happening again just in offices, because I was experiencing the same thing in my office space. Like, people are tired of the food options available in the office, and they were too busy to step out and get food, and they just didn't have enough time to wait for food deliveries. And so it was either skipping lunch or waiting in long queues for average food in the cafeteria. And so I thought, what if I built a better version of that college idea, but for corporates? And that's how my first business, Tuck Stand, was born. I don't think I've spoken about this before, but it was almost like an idea from years ago coming back and taking form or taking shape like years later. So Tuck Stand started as a 3-way marketplace. On one side, I had vendors, different restaurants, caterers, McDonald's, Domino's, all the big guys. And on the other side, I had corporates. My clients like WeWork, Mindtree, Intuit, and more. And right in the middle were the employees and team members, the people who actually needed the food. And my job was to bring them all together and ensure that the right people got fed and the right people got paid. And this meant that the vendors got bulk orders through me, and then the companies got happy employees, and the employees got their food without leaving the building. And so a massive B2B opportunity, which eventually took the form to revolutionize corporate catering in more ways than one. Simple idea, but huge outcome. And by the time I came back to work, the company was operational and profitable. And then I ran it alongside my full-time job for a while, and when it started making me as much as my salary, that's when I quit consulting to go all in. So soon we grew to a 14-member team. We had corporate contracts and about hundreds of thousands of meals moving out daily. And there were times I think back to that experience in college, standing in that cafeteria with a cardboard box full of burgers, because subconsciously, that's where it all began. So here's what that little experiment taught me. And honestly, these lessons apply to anyone trying to start something today. Don't overthink it, just act. I didn't sit around analyzing market potential. I saw a problem and tried my best to solve it ASAP. Like most people kill ideas before they're even born, and the remaining kill it soon after, and they pride in the fact that they are devil's advocates or something. The best way to see if something will work is to act and get feedback quickly and in the most nimble way possible. Your first sale changes your identity. That 112 rupees in profit, about $1.30, did something that no book or college could ever do. It made me believe I could create something from nothing. I could create money from nothing. And that belief became addictive. It gave me even more confidence to think that if a student can do this, then imagine the scale of this if a full-time founder ran it. People always pay for convenience. Back then, it was saving you the hassle of having to walk a kilometer or saving time. Eventually, with my business duck stand, it was about saving about 10 to 15 minutes and also bringing numerous options to your cafeteria. So there's convenience right there. So convenience, I've learned, is a great foundation to build any business. Don't assume what people won't pay for. If I had asked my friends if this was a good idea, they would have probably laughed me out of the room. But once they were hungry, because I was also one of them, suddenly everyone was a customer. So instead, the more you can get out of your comfort zone and ask people about their pain points and what they think, the more you'll be able to get confidence or clarity. Repeat after me. You don't need permission. I was a freaking college kid with zero credentials. Like no one said you can or can't do this. I just went up to the McDonald's manager and just had a conversation with the guy. Like I saw a gap and I just went for it. It's like Nike says, I just did it. And that mindset still drives everything I do today. So yeah, clearly it wasn't about the money. It was honestly about proof. Proof you can build something from nothing. And I've said this time and again, once you experience that high, you can never go back. And my hope for you is that you get to experience that yourself over and over again. If you're sitting on an idea right now and don't know where to start, or even if you don't know what to work on, I put everything I've learned since that day into a free solid guide called 15 Steps in 15 Days. It'll help you come up with an idea, validate it, make your first sale, and start building something real, even with a full-time demanding job. I put this together after long discussions with over 30 aspiring entrepreneurs and getting feedback. And so trust me when I say it's super practical and will get you thinking and probably acting too. Link is in the description. And if this story made you think about your own first taste of business, like however small, however long ago that was, drop it in the comments because I'd love to hear about it and what your 30 cents burger moment was. Thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one.